All right, let's dive into something pretty wild. We're going to unpack a provocative theory, a massive what-if scenario that imagines a kind of secret economic reset button, one that could change everything, literally overnight. At the very heart of this whole idea is one single shocking number, $20,000. That's the price per ounce of gold that some people believe could become the official value. The question is, how? And maybe more importantly, why?
And here's the kicker, the part that really makes you stop and think. Proponents of this theory claim this isn't just speculation. They say there's a mechanism for it, a clause, buried deep inside the Federal Reserve's own accounting manuals that could make this whole thing possible.
Okay, so why on earth would anyone, let alone the government, even consider a plan this radical? Well, the logic behind the theory starts with a problem so huge that it might just demand an equally huge and crazy solution.
And this is the problem, this single staggering number. We're talking about the US national debt, which is sitting at over $37 trillion, and it just keeps climbing. It's a number so big, it's honestly kind of hard to even wrap your head around. So, according to this theory, this plan isn't some random act. It's presented as an extreme, last-ditch answer to this one monumental challenge. The national debt, that's the motivation behind the whole thing.
Which brings us to the central question, right? How could you possibly pay off a debt that large? According to the theory, you don't default. No, you find a very creative and kind of hidden way to settle the entire bill almost instantly.
And this leads us to the mechanism itself, the alleged secret plan. It all revolves around something called a gold certificate. So let's unpack how it's all supposed to work.
First, we got to understand the key piece of the puzzle here. A gold certificate isn't money that you or I would ever use. Think of it as a special kind of IOU, an internal chit between the US Treasury and the Federal Reserve, and it's backed by the nation's gold. It's basically a way to turn the value of all that gold sitting in a vault into liquid cash on the government's books.
Okay, here's the alleged process, broken down into 4 simple steps. Step 1. The government just declares that its gold is worth a whole lot more. Let's use our number, $20,000 an ounce. Step 2. It then issues brand new gold certificates based on that new, massively inflated value. Step 3. The Fed takes those certificates and, in return, creates trillions of new dollars out of thin air. And finally, Step 4. That newly created money is used to wipe the entire national debt slate clean.
And poof, just like that, the $37 trillion problem is gone. Solved. An instant reset of the country's finances. But, as the theory goes on to explain, this neat little solution comes at a staggering price for the average person.
And this is where the theory shifts from being about government accounting tricks to something that would dramatically impact every single one of us, the economic fallout.
So what's the unavoidable consequence of creating trillions of dollars overnight? Well, the value of every single dollar you have plummets. We're not just talking about regular inflation here. The theory predicts hyperinflation, a super rapid, totally out of control destruction of the currency's value.
The proponents of this theory have a very simple and pretty brutal way to describe what this would feel like. Your cash, your savings, anything priced in US dollars, it effectively becomes worthless paper.
So this event would create 2 starkly different realities. If all your wealth is in cash or cash-based things like a pension, it gets wiped out. But if your wealth is in tangible, physical assets, we're talking gold, silver, real estate, their value, when priced in those new, devalued dollars, just skyrockets.
And that is why they call it the ultimate wealth transfer. It would be a massive, almost instantaneous shift of wealth away from people who saved in the national currency and toward those who held hard assets.
So if this massive financial earthquake were to happen, is there any way to protect yourself? Well, the theory proposes what it calls a golden escape hatch. The proposed solution is actually pretty straightforward. To be on the winning side of this wealth transfer, you need to own the assets that will survive it. The theory specifically points to buying and holding physical gold and silver, and, this is the crucial part, doing it before any revaluation happens.
You know, within the logic of this theory, this isn't just another piece of financial advice. It's framed as the only possible escape. It's basically a way to build yourself a personal lifeboat before the monetary floodgates are thrown wide open.
And so we're left with this massive question. Is this a plausible, if radical, plan that's hidden in plain sight, deep within the financial system's plumbing? A secret reset button just waiting to be pushed? Or is it a fascinating and really compelling theory that just captures our anxieties about national debt and the future of money? That ultimately is for you to decide.